New Huffington Post YouGov poll on Trump Care 3.0, which recently passed the House. Of course, the first iteration of the bill did not get through. The second one, I don't even think they had a vote on. And then the third one, they did, and it passed. It's even more draconian than the first. So just to give you guys the rundown on it real quick, there's going to be an $880 billion cut to Medicaid if it were to get through the Senate. Now, it looks like it's not going to get through the Senate. They're going to tweak it and work on it, and then they'll have to meet back with the House, and there's a whole process they have to go through. But if this bill were to get through, $880 billion cut to Medicaid, you'd have the uninsured rate go from 10%, which is what it would be under Obamacare if Obamacare stayed in place, to 19%, 53 million people uninsured, tax cut to the rich of $600 billion. It would be to the top 0.1% or 0.01%, forgive me, I forget which one it is, but they would get about $200,000 each more in their bank account every year. So the bill's a disaster. Also, even when it comes to pre-existing conditions, they allow states to opt out of it in the newer version of the bill. The old version of the bill still had the protections for pre-existing conditions, so it was even better. The new one, they allow states to opt out of it. And then, of course, they have this incredibly misleading idea that, well, we're going to get rid of the individual mandate that forces you to buy private insurance. But what they do is if you go, I think it's 3 months or 6 months without health insurance, then they allow the private health insurance companies to jack up your prices tremendously so that you basically can't afford it. So they say, you know, there's no individual mandate, but really what we have here is the private health insurance companies doing their own individual mandate, where if you go without, paying your bribe to them, then they're going to jack up your prices and it's going to be unaffordable, basically. So the bill's a disaster. Now let me go ahead and show you the chart and you'll see some of the numbers here. So the first version of the bill, it says 24% favored it, so only 24% supported it, 45% opposed it, 31% not sure. Then you had the next version of the bill, 21%, so it dropped a little bit, 21% support it, 52% are against it, 27% not sure. And then the newest version of the bill, hey, look, it went up, 31% support the bill, 44% oppose, 25% not sure. But look at those numbers, 31%. And remember, there was a different poll that found 17% of the American people supported the first version of the bill. So you have a bill that ranges in popularity from a low of 17% to a high of a whopping 31%. And this is what the Republicans are pushing for. Now, I bring you this information to then say this. We're told that Medicare for all is pie in the sky, crazy lefty, unicorn, fairy dust nonsense. Hillary Clinton said it'll never, ever happen. She said that when she was campaigning. The nerve for her to say, hey, the standard progressive idea, which, you know, we've been pushing for forever, never going to happen. Get it out of your head. Don't be crazy. The GOP bill is supported by 17% to 31% max of the American people. You do know Medicare for All has a 60% favorability rating, right? Guys, it doubles the GOP bill. It doubles. Medicare itself, so forget Medicare for All, which polls at 60%, just colossally popular. The Medicare program on its own, 77% popularity. Right up there in popularity with Social Security. So this is the way politics works in the United States of America. This is the way it's portrayed in corporate media and by the establishment and the elite. Anything that the so-called far left calls for, mock it, scoff at it, laugh at it, push it aside, say it'll never happen, don't discuss it. But anything that the far right talks about, brings up, treat it very seriously. Treat it very seriously. Let's get into all the details of this proposal and see what's the likelihood this passes. It already passed the House of Representatives. So notice, when the Democrats are in control, they don't even push for Medicare for all. They don't push for single-payer universal health care. They immediately cave to public option. So water it down right off the bat. That snap was not very good. I have lotion on my hands. Don't make a joke about the lotion. They immediately cave to public option. And then at the end of the day, they cave again and say, let's do your idea, your original idea, the Heritage Foundation's idea, Richard Nixon's plan, Bob Dole's plan, Mitt Romney's plan, Newt Gingrich's plan, individual mandate. So you elect Democrats, you get right-wing policies. You elect Republicans, you get far right-wing policies. Meanwhile, even though there's only a handful of politicians making the case for Medicare for all, 60% popularity. Could you imagine how high it would be if all the Democrats got on the same page and hammered that home and said, no, we're not, this one isn't open for debate, guys. The answer is Medicare for all, and we're not going to stop until we get it. It's as simple as that. Could you imagine if every single Democrat said, H.R. 676, John Conyers' bill in the House, Medicare for all? If every single one did that, and they all went out there and made the arguments in favor of it, where they said, did you know every other modern nation, medical bankruptcies aren't a thing? Meanwhile, here in the U.S., it's one of the top causes of bankruptcy. Hey, did you know in the U.S., 45,000 people die every year because they don't have access to basic health care? Did you know that's not a thing in other countries? Did you know other countries pay less for their health care, get better outcomes, and cover everybody? Meanwhile, we have millions and millions of people who are uninsured. Did you know that every time they do a study and every time they rank it, the U.S. ranks at the bottom of the developed nations when it comes to health care? If you go out there and cite the facts, you're going to win. Because you're going to get popularity for Medicare for all to go from 60% to 85%. But see, that's the point. The point is the Democrats, definitely the corporate Democrats, don't really want it. Originally, there were 72 co-sponsors for John Conyers' Medicare for all bill. Because of you guys, because of Justice Democrats, brand new Congress, and National Nurses United, the populist left grassroots, we chipped away and we got that up to 104. There's still a lot of Democrats, corporate Democrats, who haven't signed on yet. In the Senate, what do you have? 1, 2, maybe 3 Democratic senators who are for Medicare for all? That's inexcusable. And the Democrats wonder why they lose, because you have to come out with a vision, and you have to say what your ideal is and push for it. And all we're asking for is to catch up to the rest of the modern nations on healthcare. Well, actually, that's not true. I want to be number 1 in healthcare. And the way to do that is a single-payer Medicare for all system. So everybody needs to get involved in this fight. We have to drag the Democrats to the proper position because the Republicans keep leaving the door open, man. When you have a fucking healthcare bill that they're jamming through that has a popularity rating that ranges between 17% and 31%, and the progressive idea has a 60% favorability rating, they're basically handing you a gift. They're saying, here, do me a favor. In the next election, I'd like for you to kick my ass, please. That's what they're doing. That's what they're saying. Hey, look, I suck at this, and I can't represent the people, nor am I even trying to represent the people. I'm just trying to give a wet, sloppy blowjob to the health insurance industry and Big Pharma. So here, I'm going to leave the door wide open for you. Here's a gift. Do yourself a favor, bludgeon me over the head with it, and win in the next election in a gigantic wave and get a supermajority, and then get your policies through. They're begging you to do that. I mean, for fuck's sake, to move away from the issue of healthcare, Donald Trump recently signed a bill with a 7% approval rating. I'm not kidding. It was for to allow internet service providers to sell your information to third parties. So all your private information that you have online that you thought, oh, this is just going to be locked in with this one site. No, now they can sell that anywhere. Nobody wants that, but the Republicans did it anyway. Where are the Democrats? Fucking hit them over the head with it. Say, we're not in favor of this. By the way, to be fair to them, none of them voted for it. But they don't fucking know how to argue and make their case and raise their profile and frame the argument. I didn't hear any of them talk about it. Yeah, I'm against it. They vote against it, and then they just move on. All right, what's next? What the fuck you mean, what's next? Why are you yelping about Russia and fucking nonsense where it goes right over people's heads when you could easily say, the Republicans just sold your privacy to the highest bidder. That's what they did. No more internet privacy. It's gone. It's gone because of them. Blame them. We protected it. They're against it. We protected it. They're against it. Cite the numbers. 7%, supported this move. The healthcare bill, like we just went over with you, 17% to 31%. Our idea is 60% popular. But again, you have to believe that in order to fight for it. And a lot of the Democrats don't, because they take money from big pharma, they take money from health insurance companies, and that's why Justice Democrats are here. We're going to fight back. So on the issue of healthcare specifically, go to justicedemocrats.com/single payer. Sign your name in support of it, because the more names we get on that, the higher that number is, the better. And the more you move Democrats in Congress when we show them that, call your congressman. If your congressman or congresswoman is in favor of it, call them and thank them. Say, hey, you did the right thing. You're going to get rewarded. But if they're against it, carrot and stick approach. They're against it, say, we're going to vote you out. Simple as that. Myself and everybody I know, we're going to go to the polls and vote you out because you're a Democrat and you're not in favor of Medicare for all, which is a joke. That's hilarious. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. We're going to vote you out. So let's get active. Let's do this thing because they're opening the door for us, man. 17% to 31% favorability rating, and they're pushing for it, and they're bragging about it. The Democrats should be able to shove this down their throat and cakewalk to a gigantic victory in the next election because the Republicans are hilarious.